What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. Now, I want to talk about Mikaela Mayer real quickly because a lot of people they overlook simple things and they don't understand. There's certain things that you as a fighter have to prepare for, and along with what your team see, you need to, as the fighter, you need to understand. I don't understand when fighters say, I don't I don't know. Like when I'm in the heat of battle, you think you're winning, or you like. I feel like you should know. You should know if you're winning. If a fight is really close, I can understand when it's really close. But you kind of know. I think people just don't want to admit it. But you know, like just like when you're doing better in one round than the other. And I just think a lot of people don't want to just say, I think I was losing or I think I lost. I feel like, they say that just out of pride. But really now for Mikaela Mayer, she feels like she won the fight. And let me say this. Mikaela Mayer, she needs to improve her conditioning so she can fight a faster pace, a more effective faster pace, and she needs to be able to pop that jab out more. Keep it long and work behind that jab straight, and work everything off the jab. I feel like fighters in general, they don't do it because they're just not taught to do it, and two, they don't have the conditioning. And it would help you out so much more than just winging shots and trying to go for the knockout blow every other punch. When you fight, especially in somebody else's backyard and for a title, you have to go out there with the mentality, I'm going to go and take this title. Like the filling out process would be so much easier if you stay behind that jab. Because she taller than everybody she fights, considerably taller. And she just doesn't work behind the jab consistent enough. She makes the fight harder for herself than it needs to be. So whereas a fight is close, if she fought more, and if she fought more in a more effective way of using her physical gifts and advantages that she has, yeah, she'd be able to go in there instead of a split decision, unanimous decision. You might get the stoppage, might get the knockout simply because you're out pointing and winning and an accumulation of punches pile up, and then guess what? You just break the will and take the take the fight out of your opponent. But Mikaela Mayer has the type of style. She tries to do just enough to win the round. But she doesn't try to just take over the round and really, you can only do what you're capable of doing, okay? And I don't like to give people abilities that they don't have. And this is what I'm saying. What I see in her, if she worked on her conditioning and learned how to work behind that stick, it would make life so much easier for her in that ring. Okay, and the reality of fighting someone in their own backyard, you're getting hit with shots, you're hitting them with shots, but the crowd is cheering for everything that they do. I feel like the judges get influenced by that as well. And when you don't have an overwhelming performance where it's okay, she really went there and took it to her, it's very easy for them to say, okay, we think the champ won. She didn't go in there and show that she's really dominant over the champ. And I think that's unfair to have to be dominant, okay? Because that fighter is just as determined as you. It's not about giving, it's about earning. And for Mikaela Mayer's situation, it's anytime she's in a tough fight, even when she's gotten the win, again, she just makes the fight so much harder for herself. You can't go in there, that filling out process, you got to think like this. Let's take the first two rounds. They always call those the filling out process, right? Those are the fill out rounds. You and the opponent are both feeling each other out. Neither person is landing anything really significant. What makes you think when you go back to your corner that you won those first 2 rounds? Right? So you don't know how the judges are scoring these fights. So you go back to the corner, regardless of whatever you're thinking, and your mind, whenever you decide to pick it up, you know, fighters forget the fight doesn't start that round. The fight started from round 1. You don't know if you won those 2 rounds on the judges' scorecards. Okay, so now when you start to pick it up, and you start to land shots, and you start to pick things up, now you're thinking, okay, I won that round, or I think I won that round, or whatever. But you might be going into the 5th round with the fight score 2 rounds apiece. Whereas in your mind, you think you won the first 2 rounds. You think you edged it out or whatever. So what I'm saying, you don't know. So if you feel like the first 2 rounds are going to fill a person out, but you do the same shit every fight. You know, you do the same things where I don't really get busy into round 3 or 4 or 4 or 5. And like, you know, even when I feel like a fighter has won, like I felt like Mikaela Mayer won the fight. Okay. But what I'm saying is I also understand you see the same bullshit way of judging a fight. It's not like Natasha Jonas wasn't getting her licks in because she put up a hell of a fight. It was a solid fight back and forth. And for that reason is why you have to understand I'm here trying to take this woman's title. She can't step on the gas if she doesn't have the gas tank for it. So that's why I'm saying Mikaela Mayer needs to definitely work on her conditioning. She needs to work on keeping it long. And psychologically, she has to understand, I need to go in here. Even if I'm not fighting for a title, even if I don't care if I'm the champion, the mindset should be, I'm going to win every single round. If I knock you out, I knock you out. If I don't, I'm going to win every single round. That's the mindset. That's how you approach your training. That's how you approach the fight. I'm not here to play this fill out shit. You know, that jab, popping that jab, popping that jab. Yeah, you want to see what they're reacting to and how they react. You watch fighters, you do film study. They might try to do something different when they fight you. That's possible. So even with the filling out process, if you're popping that jab out, this person has to get in, has to get past that jab to get to you. Double, triple jabs, sidestep with your jab, lateral movement, stay off the center line. There's several things she needs to work on. Okay, like coming in a straight line. She does that all the time. Okay, and she doesn't move her head. She doesn't feint. She just comes straight in, and she has her hands down waist level a lot of times. She's just coming in. Then she puts her hands up right before she's ready to punch, and then it's like she gets hit, even if she lands a shot as well. But it's like, again, you're making the fight that much harder. You know, when you watch movies and you see that scene that just makes zero sense, and you sit there like, you wrote this script. Why? Why'd you put that in there? Like a guy has a baseball bat and he runs up to a guy, right, and get this close. You should have had a knife. A baseball bat is like that long. So why do you have to get this close to swing a baseball bat, right? It's stupid. Or a guy has a gun in his hand and he's, and then gets up close to, like, why do you have to get close to shoot? And that's my point. Okay? These are long-range weapons. Your jab is your long-range weapon. Okay? And then Mikaela Mayer, hands are like here most of the time that she's coming in. Then she'll like step in with the jab, then throw the overhand while her hands are here so she can't get out the way of the shot. So she steps in, bam, you know, or steps in, throw the jab, then throw the overhand, miss, then get caught. You understand what I'm saying? And those are the type of shots that when you hit your head and the judges see that, and that basically is like, okay, she's getting caught when she's coming in, and they start to overlook. Because, look, let's be real. I was pulling for Natasha Jonas to win, but I don't think she won. That's neither here nor there, okay? But reality is the commentating team was so biased. There was times when Mayer was landing shots, Mayer was doing things, And they were overlooking it. They weren't even mentioning some of the things because they were so busy praising what Natasha Jonas is doing and getting hyped up with the crowd. And it was the same thing. You go back and watch the fight with Baumgartner, the same shit was happening. Mikaela Mayer was the favorite. And every time her hands was moving, they're cheering even when she was missing. But when Baumgartner's landing shots, they're talking about other things. They're not even mentioning what Baumgartner just did. There's several times in the fight where that happens. And that happens often. So, again, not only are you trying to take the title, but you're in that person's country. Let's be real. You hear people all the time say, oh, when people come to the States and fight, they get robbed. Okay, people from the States fight in the States and get robbed. Just like people get robbed over there. Where did Catterall and Josh Taylor fight at, right? Okay, we can give you many different examples of fighters who fought in a different country, in their home country or whatever, and it was a complete robbery. So it's the business itself. So, and that's why I said when people was talking about, oh, she got robbed every time she come to the UK. No, she's 2-2 in the UK. She's 2-2 in the UK. Because she won her first two fights. She lost to Baumgartner, and then she just, didn't get the win against Natasha Jonas. And the only one that was from the UK was Natasha Jonas. Like I said, Baumgartner's not from the UK, and neither were the other two ladies that she fought. So yeah, Mikaela Mayer has to sharpen up. She really does. This video is not about Natasha Jonas. I'm speaking about Mikaela Mayer because the talent that she has, it really makes me wonder what type of training they do with these fighters. Because I don't understand. Like a guy like Riddick Bowe who had a jab, but Bowe was a great inside fighter as well. He could fight on the inside. Okay, but even Bowe, I feel like brawled too much as well, which is why by the time he was 28 years old, he was done. And was already developing brain damage at 28. He was 28 years old when he was pretty much finished. Okay, and that's when I remember the rematch against the guy that kept hitting him low. But anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about. He fought him twice, and he ended up basically like that was just the end for Bowe. Bowe career just was on a down spiral. 28 years old, and listen to his speech at 28. And Riddick Bowe at that point it's too much brawling for no reason. You have basketball players 5'8", 5'10", 5'11", they say, man, I wish I was 6'7", I wish I could dunk, I wish I could. And then they see somebody like Spud Webb or Allen Iverson come along and they're like, damn, you mean to tell me somebody my height can get up there and dunk? Right? But they wish they had that height because they have to play harder, smarter, and different from larger players because they have a disadvantage. And so what I'm saying, when you have that height, you use it. You utilize your tools. And Mikaela Mayer, she makes fights harder for herself. And the problem is when you win these fights, well, that's when it's like, okay, you start to think you don't really need to use all your tools. Look at Errol Spence. He was knocking people out and beating people the same way. And, when he got in there with Terrence Crawford, now the whole boxing move and jab and all that, but that's boring to me. Now, when you have to actually do these things, you're not used to doing them. And you can't. And that's why you fight a repetitive fight, because why? There's nothing else that I know how to do. Nothing that I'm used to doing other than what I'm doing right now. That being said, if you start to put it in your mind, I need to add to my arsenal. She definitely needs to keep her head off that center line. She needs to use more feints, jab off the feints. You need to, she need to work on footwork. There's several things she needs to work on. Definitely, but her stamina will give her confidence. Her conditioning, it will give her the confidence to do these things. It's like if a fighter can throw 80 punches around. For a fighter that throws 30 to 35 punches around, that sounds scary to them. 80 punches around? I don't know about that. Now, if they get the conditioning up, then they realize, damn, I can do this. I can. Nobody's saying it's going to be easy. But it's all up to her. She can get the conditioning there if she wanted, but that's one of the first things she needs to add. Start working on that conditioning. Because when you watch it, that's why I say when people say something was a great fight, it's like, okay, it was a solid fight, but there was the techniques that was thrown out the window is because certain things she don't know how to do, and then there's things that she stopped doing in the fight because of fatigue. And why she stopped using her jab and just decided to start trying to brawl, it's like she's going to find herself in uphill battles where she could have just sat back and learned. I'm a boxer. Okay, I'm not a boxer puncher, I'm a boxer. But she seemed to think that she has crazy power. She has, she has respectable power. She's not this super hard puncher like people say. Natasha Jonas is not a super hard puncher like people say. They have some power, but Natasha Jonas throws slow hard punches. And for that matter, it's like when you fight certain people, that's when it's going to come out. So the people that it worked against, you don't have that incentive to add things to your arsenal and realize, no, I need to sharpen up. I need to tighten up. Mikaela Mayer is only going to get better if she trains differently. Otherwise, she's going to go into every fight with her usual style, and should it come to a dogfight, she's going to find herself facing the same adversity time after time after time, simply because she do not box the way she's supposed to. She really doesn't. You see how in the NBA now, for the past 4 years now, you got freaking centers out here taking jump shots. They're outside of the paint, like they're not playing their positions right. That's one of the reasons it's hard for me to watch the NBA now too. It's like I sit there and I'm like, man, they don't understand the fucking game of basketball. What the hell is going on? The centers out here taking jump shots. It's one thing when you're the San Antonio Spurs and have David Robinson and Tim Duncan, because you got another 7-footer under there. Okay? And Tim Duncan was a 7-footer playing power forward. So his man is in front of him. Okay? He took him away from the paint. They don't play the game right, man. like, what are you guys doing? But it's a different day. So what? It's a different day. You're not playing your position right. Your ass is 7 feet out here taking jump shots. You got a fucking 6-footer trying to jump up over 6 people, 6'7", 6'9", 6'8", because you're out here taking jump shots. It might work in certain games, but it's also going to be your downfall when you start to fight against, play against the other top teams in the same and fighting. Where even though I felt like she won, my point is, I can also understand that she didn't dominate. I felt like she won, but she didn't dominate. She didn't really go in there and take the championship the way, like if I'm in her corner, I'm telling her I need. First off, it'd be different, because that's one thing is I look at the flaws that every fighter has, and that's what we're going to work on. We're going to turn your weaknesses into strengths. Okay, we can only camouflage your weaknesses so long. At some point, it's going to come out. And that's what Mikaela Mayer, she's going to need a new approach, a different approach to the way she fights. You're adding to your arsenal, not trying to make her a different fighter, but a better fighter. And there's things that she just don't do. I don't understand how she's coming in with her hands here, then she's stepping in with the jab, so Jonas can see it coming. And Jonas knows that when she does that and she leans, the right hand is coming, and Jonas turns, bam, counter, but Jonas, a lot of times she counter with these wide shots instead of like coming with the lean uppercut or coming over top with the chopping shots. And everything is coming from here. And she, hey! So that also is something you can telegraph. When fighters do that, they don't get it. So unless you have like super fast hands, most of the time when you're doing that, you're missing all those flurries. You might throw 4 or 5 punches and land one. And for Mikaela Mayer, it's like I just see her as the same fighter. Like she's not evolving, she's not getting better. She's the same fighter, and the wisdom is not kicking in. Now, what she looks like after this Jonas fight and her next fight, we'll see. More than likely, she's not going to get that rematch. Jonas wants to retire, okay? And Jonas already fought her, so Jonas is on to the next one. She probably want to try to unify, fight another champion. go out, whether win, lose, or draw. Of course, she wants to win, but I don't see her rematching Mikaela Mayer. I don't see that happening. So Mikaela Mayer, like I said, is going to find herself in a position where she needs some big wins. She needs to look sharp, but she really needs to work on all of these things. I do not know what her team is, working on her with, but everything that I just said, she definitely needs to work on. Footwork, conditioning, working behind her jab, keeping it long, keeping her head off the center line, head movement. She really needs to learn these things. She needs to learn how to take that step back, pop the jab, double, triple jab. She needs to learn how to do that. Take that step back, feint, bam, throw the right hand behind, the right hand behind the jab. Not make it where you can telegraph it. Stop swinging with everything, every punch. And that's where you go into this mode of trying to beat someone at their own style, and you find yourself not getting the decision that you wanted or that you think you should get. Change the approach. Simple. Change the approach. Change how you're starting these fights. From one, the first 2 rounds, you can't come in with that filling out process mindset of trying to be super cautious and not letting your hands go. The jab, okay? The jab will guide the rest. It will navigate everything else. Use the jab to navigate everything. Because trust me, if you're popping that jab out, especially you being a taller fighter the majority of the times, you're landing that jab, you're going to take those first 2 rounds. Okay, so if your opponent is with the filling out process mindset and that jab is skinning them in the face, trust me, you're going to win those rounds. Especially when, as compared to before, how you are jabbing but not enough. Too much movement, not really engaging. You're trying to see what's coming at you, but you're not even giving this person anything to worry about. They're not giving you anything to worry about. So again, you can't go back to your corner confident that you won those rounds, because you don't know that. You don't know that you won those rounds. And you can assume that you won those rounds, and next thing you know, you're sitting there, your team is telling you need to knock out the win. Sometimes your team will tell you that just to motivate you, so you don't get complacent with where you are in the fight. But, I think that Mikaela Mayer, I don't know. I don't know what they're working on with her, but like, if they work on her with those things and she can improve on them, she should be okay. But in the meantime, she has to change the approach. You can't start out the fight with those first 2 rounds, especially being, because you know what people remember the most? The last rounds, the later ones. Okay, so the in between rounds, they're more affected by what they see in the last rounds. So then you go to factor in the judging. If you won those first 2 rounds, and now even for rounds to go back and forth, and then you close strong, just saying, it's like you might get it just from the being more active, but not to mention you're landing punches when your opponent isn't really landing anything. So try to secure those first 2 rounds. Try to win every round. That's the whole point. But definitely skip past the filling out process stuff and just, trust your jab. Trust your skills and your ring IQ. But she has to sharpen up, and that's for damn sure. Talk to me in the comment section about Mikaela Mayer. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.